What is up, guys? It is Eco and I'm back here with another Unity tutorial. Today I was actually asked to make this tutorial by Cute Candy Games, and they basically asked if I could do a tutorial on how I did the whole entering my house thing in my game. Let me go and show you guys what I'm talking about. Basically, when the character enters a certain range around the door, it will spawn right by the door here. Oh, there we go. So basically, I have a little box around this door. So when the character is within this box, which the player can't see it, of course, but when the player is within this certain range and they hit a button such as E, they'll get switched into the house scene, like it is for me. And then, but I'm not only gonna show you guys how to do that. I'm gonna show you guys that first, but also, if this scene will load here, I'm gonna show you guys how to basically exit the house, and when you exit the house, I'll show you guys how to have the character end up right inside, like right in front of the door, instead of back where the scene started. So basically, I hit the trigger right there, and you can see I spawn right in front of the door instead of back at the beginning of my scene. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to a project where I have all the scripts needed for this deleted, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, here we are. We are right here inside of actually the project that I used for the parallax tutorial, but I'm just gonna reuse it, and I went ahead and deleted all the scripts required for this whole thing to work so I can start off from scratch like you guys. Now let's go ahead and get started with the door and basically getting that working. Let's go ahead and open up the frame with my house in it. So right here, let me go ahead and head over to it in the scene view. You can see there's nothing around the door currently. Basically, I'm going to be using pretty much the same system that I used right here. You guys can see the little gizmo drawn around this spider right here. I'm going to basically use the system that I used for that, but it's going to be, to fit the door. So let's go ahead and create a C# script right here. Create C# script, and let's just go ahead and name this open door. And then we can go ahead and open that up. Wait for Visual Studio to load up here. And then once you have Visual Studio open, you can go ahead and take out these void start and update methods. And then the first thing you want to do is just go ahead and create a public bool. Actually, let's make that a private bool. And then let's just name it player detected. So basically, this is going to be a boolean checking for if the player is detected or not within the range that it'll be checking for, which we will set up in a second. Let's go ahead and also set up a public transform door pause. This will basically be setting door pause will be a empty game object, and we'll just set it right by the door. So this will basically be the generation point of the origin point of where the little range starts, basically. And then let's go ahead and create one more variable here, and we'll go and do public float. And actually, no, this will be one of two last variables, because this will be width, because we'll be creating a rectangle to fit the door. So we'll create a width and then public float height fit that as well. So there'll be X and Y. So now let's actually go ahead and create our private void update method right here. Oh, that messed up. There we go. So inside of our update method, we want to go ahead and set basically what player protected is. So what sets it true or false. So we'll go ahead and do player detected equals physics2d dot overlap box. So basically what this is doing, it's going to create a virtual little box that we can't see in the game or scene view. But it's going to create a little virtual box, and within here we'll set parameters basically telling it what its origin point is, and how big or tall it should be. So its origin point is going to be its door pause dot position, and then we'll do comma new vector2, and then we'll add parentheses again, and then its x value will be the width, and its y value will be the height. And then right out here, we'll do 0, and that should be it. Let me make sure that is it. Oh, right, okay. One thing I do need, one more thing we need to do, I kind of forgot about this. So another thing we need to do, we need to create a public layer mask. Because basically, yes, you know, we're telling it, you know, to create this little box, but we're not telling it what to check for. So you know, we need something to set this player detected true or false. So basically, what we'll do, we'll create the public layer mask, and we'll name this what is player. And then we'll, after the 0, we'll add comma what is player. So we're basically telling it to check for whatever layer mask we set what is player to, and you know, if it detects what is player, then it'll set it to true. So after that, let's go ahead and let's create an if statement, and we'll say if player detected equals true. Put your curly brackets there. So if player detected is true, we'll do if input dot get key down, and then here you can set it to whatever key you want. So I'm just gonna set it to E. So I'll do keycode dot E. If you want it to be like shift, you do keycode dot like left shift, and then we'll do our curly brackets here. And then inside of here, we'll actually set up this later. But now outside of this update method, we want to create one more little method, and this is going to be our void on draw private void on draw gizmos selected. For some reason, my autofill is not working, so we'll set up our curly brackets. So on draw gizmo selected. So basically, what we're going to do here is basically tell it what to draw according to this. So we're basically going to be using the same parameters as this. So basically, this is creating the box, right? But we can't see it within our game view. What this is going to do when we put in the parameters is that it'll draw the box that is being created here, but it'll create it so we can actually see it. So let's go ahead and set the colors here. So we'll go gizmos.color, and we'll set that to, let's say color dot, let's just do blue. I like blue. We'll do blue. You can set it to whatever you want. You can probably do purple, whatever. And then we'll do one more, and we'll do gizmos.draw wire cube. Since this is a box, we're going to be creating a cube here. And then basically what we'll be doing, so we're going to put, again, door pause dot position, comma new, vector 3 this time because it's a cube. And then right here we'll do width for our x value, height for our y value, and since it does require a z value, we'll just set it to 1. And then semicolon. And that really should be it for the door open. We'll come back to this later when we have our other scripts ready. Let's go and go in here, and let's create everything required for this. So first, let's go over to our house. And I originally made the door like a separate separate images, because I thought I was gonna end up animating the door, but I didn't. So just grab your house image or whatever the game object, whatever it is, and then go ahead and drop the open door script on that. You can go and open it up. You can see it's asking for a door pause, you know, transform. So we'll put that in a second. And then you'll see your width, your height that is required, and then your what is player, which again we'll set up later. So let's start with the door pause. So as a child of your house object, go ahead and create an empty game object, and then just go ahead and name this door pause for position. And then in your house, you can go ahead and drag door pause into that little slot right there. Let's go ahead and find this. Let's see where it is. So it went up right here. I'm going to go ahead and put this just right about in the center of my door. I'm going to go ahead and put that right in the center of my door, just so this is basically going to be the origin point of where this gizmo is drawn from, so we can see it. So as you can see, if we adjust the width, it goes out like that. And then if you adjust the height, it'll go out like that. So let's go ahead and set this to just surround about the door. Let me go ahead and center this a bit. So we'll go right about there. Let's move it just about over, just a little more over. And then we can go ahead and adjust that a little bit more, and then we can adjust the height to surround the door. Right around there. So we have all those parameters set. Just adjust to what you need for your specific game. And then for what is player, you'll have to create a player layer, which I already have. But if you don't have one, just select your player game object. Go to its layer. It's gonna be on default. Just go ahead and hit add layer. And then for whatever layer it is, just type in player. But I already have it. And then when you're done, go back to your player object and then put the layer as player. And then you can go back to your open door script right here, and then it'll ask what is player, and what is player is equal to the player layer. So now it will only check for the objects that are on the player layer. And that's really it for the door open script. This isn't going to work yet because we haven't set up the scene transitions or anything like that. Let's go ahead and create another C# script. Create C# script. And then let's just name this scene switch. This will be switching scenes. Let's go ahead and open up that script right here. And then go ahead and delete the start and update methods. Okay. And then within this, basically all you want to do is go ahead and create a public void start method. And then within this, we will actually, no, we want to do public virtual void start. And we're not going to put anything in here right now. We just want to have that set up for later. So completely ignore that. Go down below there here. And then go and create a public void, say, switch scene function. And then go ahead, set up your curly brackets. Now within here, all you want to do, actually right up here under using Unity Engine, you want to do using, since we'll be using the scene manager, so you want to do using Unity Engine dot scene man, like that. And yeah, for some reason my autofill is not working correctly. That's okay though. So let's go ahead and do scene. Oh god. Okay, so within here, you want to go ahead and do scene manager dot load scene, and then before you type anything in, let's go ahead right here in these parameters for this function, for this switch scene function, go ahead and do string scene name. Basically, we'll use that function or that parameter for this load scene. So we'll do scene name as well. So it'll be checking for a string of scene name. And we'll set that to what it is later. So now that we have that done, let's go ahead and go back to our open door script. And then within here, within this if input get key down if statement, you want to go ahead and actually we have to create a start method here. So we'll do void start private void start. Then within here, you want to basically go up to your variables again, and then you just want to do scene switch and just name this, say, scene switch. And then within the start method, you want to say scene switch is equal to find object of type and two little arrows right there, and then you want to do scene switch. parentheses semicolon. So this is basically when this open door script is activated, like, so once the scene is opened, that it's in, on start it'll check for an object that has the scene switch script on it. So now within your if statement, you want to go ahead and do scene switch dot switch scene, then parentheses and semicolon. You'll see we have an error here. That is because it's required of string of scene name. So up here in your parameters again, you can go ahead and do, let's create a private string, and you can name this whatever you want. I'm just gonna go ahead and name it scene name, and I'm putting it as private because we're not gonna use it in any other scripts, but I do want it to show up in the hierarchy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do the brackets right above it, and then we're gonna do serialized field, just so we can see it within the hierarchy. And now within these parentheses, you want to go ahead and type in scene name, scene, like that. Now if you minimize that and go back here, before we do anything else, actually, let's go ahead and create a empty game object, and then let's name this scene manager, and then you want to go ahead and drag your scene switch onto it. And we have to do this because the open door script is searching for an object with the scene switch script on it, so we have to have that active within the scene. So go ahead and go over to your open door script, and now you can see there's a little parameter here for scene name. And basically, we haven't created the scene yet, so let's go ahead and go over to a scene folder, and then within here you just want to create a new scene, and let's name this, say, house 1. Name it whatever you want. It can be house 1, living room, whatever it is. Go ahead and open up that scene. Go and save your current scene. Obviously, there's not going to be anything in here. You can go ahead and set up your scene. I'm not going to do that because, actually, I will do that here in a second. But I'm going to set up your scene, and I'm going to go ahead and set up mine, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so I have my scene set up right here. I just have all the essentials, basically the background for this thing, the ground box that the player can walk on. I have the player set up. If I go and hit play, player can freely run around in this. But obviously there's no exiting or even entering this yet. So let's go ahead and head back to our original scene. And then right over here, on your open door script, you want to go ahead and put in this little scene name parameter right here. You want to put in the name of the scene that you want to load into. So for me specifically, that is house 1, right there. So now that that's set up, it should work. So go ahead, set up your frames if you have different ones that you need to. And then we'll go ahead and hit play. Let's go ahead and run over to the house. Alright, so we are here by the house. And now, if you stand right in front of the door and you hit whatever button you set it to, it should work. Boom, we are loaded right in to our house 1 scene. And now that that's done, you now want to, of course, exit the house. Let's go ahead and start, let's go ahead and set up that next. This next part really should not take that long. Let's go ahead and go over to our house 1 scene. And then, just to set things up, so we don't have to do it later, let's go ahead and create another scene manager game object. And then go ahead and put in your scene switch script on here. So now that you have that set up, go ahead and create another empty game object. And just name this, say, exit trigger. And then go ahead and, here. Go, exit trigger. You drag it over here. And on this exit trigger, go ahead and create a box collider 2D. And then go ahead and set it as is trigger. And then drag it to where you want to exit your house from. Now, if you don't want to exit your house this way, if you want to have character exit the house through another door, like we did as entering the house, then you can basically just go ahead and copy the system that you did in your first scene and just redo it in here, and you should be fine. But if you want to enter the house and, have it like I do, where, the player walks around and he walks through, this little trigger, and it goes to the other scene, then go ahead and keep watching. Let's go ahead and set up this trigger. Let's go ahead and, set up its size here. Get pretty large, and then of course the height was over exaggerated. So that's really all you have to do for that. Now we have to create another script. So let's go ahead and create another C# script, and let's name this, let's do scene switch trigger. Let's go ahead and open that up. So then within here, again, take out your start and update methods. And then within here, what you want to do is let's go ahead and reference the scene manager, or the scene switch script. Okay. So what the hell? So scene switch, there we go. And then we'll just name this scene switch. And then, okay, so now let's go ahead and start a private void start method. And then within here, we again want to set what scene switch is equal to. So again, we'll do scene switch is equal to find object of type, your arrows, and it is equal to object switch, parentheses, semicolon. There we go. And now you want to go ahead and create a private void on trigger enter 2D. And then for you, if your autofill is working, it should already autofill with parameters of collider 2D and collision. So for me, my autofill isn't working, so I had to do that manually. Now within this method, so this is basically setting on trigger enter, of course. So basically, once something is entered this trigger and it's set to a 2D box collider, so we have to do on trigger enter 2D. And then within here, we want to do if collision dot tag, so it's checking for a tag. If collision dot tag is equal to the tag of player, then we'll do this code. So it's checking here if so it's basically saying on trigger enter 2D. If the object entering it has a tag of player, then this code will run. And we'll go ahead and do scene switch dot switch scene, and again we will need a scene name parameter. So let's go ahead and do again private string scene name. And then again, let's go ahead and serialize this as field just so we can see it in the hierarchy, and then we will set scene name like that. There we go, and that really should be it for that specific script. So let's go ahead and drag the scene switch trigger script onto our exit trigger, and then the scene name we want to load up is our original scene, and for me that is level 1. For you, it could be forest, it could be city, whatever it is, just go ahead and throw it right on there. And now when we enter that, because we already have the scene switch on the scene manager, we don't have to do it again. Now if we hit play, we should be able to exit right out into our original scene. But now, as you can see, when we load it up, it does load up the scene, but it throws us back at the beginning. If that's how you want it, then I hope you enjoyed the video. But if you do want your player to end up right outside the door of which he entered, we do have one more script to create. So go ahead and go into your original scene. So for me, again, that's level 1. And then let's go ahead and hop over back to the house, right over here. And let's go ahead and create another C# script. So let's go ahead and go scripts, It's going to be our last script. So create C# script, and let's just name this world. And just so we don't have to do it later, let's go ahead and drop it on our scene manager right here. And then let's go ahead and open up that world script. Ignore, let's go ahead and delete our start and update methods. And now within this world script, so basically this is going to be creating it so the player will end up outside of the door of which he entered. So let's go ahead and create a public transform, and let's just name this player. So it's going to be checking for a game object of transform player. And then let's go ahead and create a public float. So we're going to set up the public the variables basically for the position X and position Y. So these are basically variables we'll be setting later, and I'm making them public so you can adjust them in the hierarchy. And now let's go ahead and create a public override void start. And actually, instead of deriving from mono behavior, we want this to derive from our scene switch script, like that. And then go ahead and set up these curly brackets. So inside of this public override void start. So basically, since it's deriving from scene switch, and this is an override public void start, this is going to be overriding what's going on inside of this start method, which actually we have not set up anything. So let's go ahead and do that. So within here, we want to create some new variables. Let's do a public static string prev scene. It's going to be checking for the previous scene, and then it's going to be public static string current scene. And inside of this public virtual void start, we want to go ahead and do current scene equals scene manager dot get active scene dot parentheses dot name. So it's basically saying current scene is, you know, whatever the current scene is, and it's gonna grab that name. Now within our public void switch scene function, we want to go ahead and set previous scene equal to current scene. And that's all within this script. So let's go back over to our world script. And now, within this override void start, we don't want to completely disregard what's going on inside of this start, instead of this start method. So in order to still take into account what's going on there, we want to go ahead and do base.start. So within here, when you do base.start, it's basically calling what's going on inside of this start method from its base script, while also running what's going on inside of its own start method. So now all we have to do is basically create an if statement, and we'll go ahead and do if prev scene is equal to, let's go ahead and create another variable actually, and let's do public string, let's just name this previous, and you'll set this equal to previous. So if it is equal to previous, basically I created that public string because if you do want multiple houses, if you have multiple houses within your original scene, and for me that's level 1, if I have like house 1, house 2, house 3, then I want to be able to not just check for one scene. So basically I'll place 3 world scripts on my scene manager, and I'll say you know, if say previous scene is equal to, you know, house 1, then it'll, you know, go to certain coordinates, etc. So let's go ahead and do, all we have to do basically is actually go player dot position equals new vector 2, and then parentheses, and now we just want to put in our position X, position Y variables that is it. So we can go and minimize Visual Studio, go back to Unity. Now we'll wait for this to compile. As you can see, we have all these new lines here. So now for the player, of course, you want to drag in your player. And then for previous scene, I only have one house, but say I had 3 houses. So on the scene manager, I drag 2 other world scripts. And for here, this one would be house 1. And then, so basically, if the previous scene is house 1, it would throw the player to these certain coordinates. Let's say if the previous scene was house 2, then it would throw the player to these certain coordinates, etc. But I only have 1 house, so I'm only going to have 1 world script. And basically, position X, we're going to go ahead and set that here in a second. So let me go ahead and disable frame 3. So then we're going to go ahead and run over to the house again. Alright, so we're here by the house. So now, after I kill these spiders, go ahead and stand in front of the door where you want your player to spawn at when he exits the house. When he exits the house, go ahead and hit pause. And then go ahead and select your player 1. And then go ahead and copy his X position right there. And then go over to your scene manager, and on your world script, in the position X, right there, go ahead and Control V. And then go back to your player 1, go ahead and copy his Y. And then go back over to your scene manager, and then in position Y, go ahead and paste that. And before you hit play or pause, go ahead and select this cog on the world script. And then go ahead and hit copy component. Now you can hit the play button to stop playing. And then hit the cog again on your world script. And go ahead and hit paste component values. And now you'll see that this should work perfectly. So if we hit play and we run back over to the house, here, you'll see that if we enter it, it'll first of all work, of course. But now, you run around. But now, as soon as you hit the end trigger or the exit trigger, it will throw you right back in front of the door. Now, as you can see, that works perfectly. Again, if you guys have multiple houses, just go ahead and throw down multiple world scripts. Or if you want to edit the script a little bit to fix your personal needs and all of that, you can go ahead and do so. And I apologize for the sort of lengthy tutorial. This is sort of it's not too complicated, but it does take a bit to explain and put together. But again, I really hope it helped you guys, and thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new to this channel, go and hit the subscribe button. They're really appreciated. And I hope everyone's day has been going good. If it hasn't, then I hope this video helped. If it didn't, and I hope you guys can do something today that'll make it good, and then you can reflect on today and say it's a good day. So yeah, I am Z Codes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next one. Peace.